Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thank you. Now enjoy the show.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of RAERAEs Review. Well, I'm about to let y'all know what I thought about this Real Housewives of Atlanta Sweet 16 season. Now, we're going to talk about 3 episodes, 4, 5, and 6. Now, I'm getting my notes together, child. I'm getting all my notes because I had to make sure I'm going to be on point with what the heck I got to say about these heifers. Now, 4, 5, and 6. Let me go back because, child, I've been, I'm reviewing all kind of shows. I'm doing The Equalizer on CBS. They in season 5, child. What else am I doing? The Housewives. Beverly Hills just ended. Just ended. Southern Charm with my homegirl Erin. Also, we are finishing up Drag Race season 17. The finale is coming this weekend, y'all. Look out for that. Me and my homegirl Erin as well. And starting May 9th, 3 weeks from now, All Stars season 10, I think. Yeah, Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race season 10 All Stars. Child, it's gonna be good. I'm still learning some of these heifers, but some of them I do know. But yeah, I think I got my notes together. Yeah, Roa season 16. Sweet 16. Now I'm gonna go through episode 4. All right, so listen. I'm gonna bring it up to the current because it's some ish going on. First, it was before the whole drama, during the drama. Now we're post drama, but we're still kind of in the drama. Dang, Kenya, man. Okay, I want to move too fast. Okay, so listen. It's episode 4. So we got Angela and Brittany talking about excluding Fam and her marriage. Now, this is what I was talking about. I think Brittany got her insurance company up and running in lieu of taking care of their dad's funeral. And that may be a point of contention a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's just a whole lot. But anyway, Angela also was talking about trying to exclude her family out of her marriage more so than Brittany. Because, as you can tell, Charles ain't he a different breed. He don't play that. Even though he is helping to take care of Angela's family, he don't want no back talk either. Don't know. Now listen, some people who have a whole lot of money don't mind spending it because it is what it is. I mean, I'm just saying, it is what it is, right? Like, for instance, this is no shade. Like with Candy, she knows that she has to provide, well, I'll say in the beginning, maybe, I don't know how much Todd got at this point, if he can sustain a certain amount of, or pay for a certain amount of their lifestyle without Candy having to dip in a whole lot. But I'll say this. I'm sure Candy had to dip in, like pay for, or just expect to pay for a lot more of their lifestyle than he did in the beginning, right? He was a producer on the show. And I don't think he came in with millions. Otherwise, Mama Joyce wouldn't have been pressing him so hard the way she did. And if he did, they would have made it known. Like, listen, Todd is coming with a cute little bag, Mom. So don't think that I'm paying for everything. As a matter of fact, he got it right now. I'm just so, listen. For those people who have a considerable amount of more resources than their significant other, they're expected to pay more, whether it's the man or whoever it is, because we got more than men and women now. I'm just saying, so whoever got more of the bag is expected to pay more of the lifestyle. It is what it is. And and nowadays, we can honestly say, what they 10 years in now, Candy and Todd going on 11, I can honestly say that Todd is real secure. You know what I'm saying? If something were to ever happen between them two, breaking up, he's real good. Hell of a lot more good than he was going into that relationship. But anyway, so Angela just really needs to take care and well, just take care of her household, and just make sure that whoever her family is that Charles is taking care of, is that they understand just how much pushback they can give during family dysfunction. It is what it is. So I'm pretty sure Charles is going to have to take some back talk regarding certain things. But like Angela said, she really needs to make sure that her marriage is not for fodder for her family to just chime in and make and make issues for. Then Brittany, she got 2 sisters, and they're on the rocks. Like I said, the oldest sister never recovered from their dad's death. I really do think that Brittany really, let's just say back then she was, money hungry. She was in a certain lifestyle to where money is the motive. And when she got the opportunity to get her business up and running with the help of her sisters, but she obviously had more control over the situation. They had to end up doing a GoFundMe for their dad's funeral. And doesn't that strike you odd? Why would they do that when Brittany had the funds, the resources to do that? Anyway, so they're all talking, trying to get over their family, dysfunction and disruption, giving us a little bit. Angela said she's having a party. And, she wants to bury the hatchet with Shamia because, previously they were arguing down to Kelly's spend and support the brittle bone. I think it's I forgot the name, but it's regarding brittle bones. And she gave the story about her situation. So they were all spending with Prada. I don't know, some expensive luxury brand. No, Balmain, Balenciaga, somebody that I can't afford, child. So, yeah, Angela wants to bury the hatchet with Shamia because it's really not that deep. Brittany still talking about keeping guard up with Kenya, all because Kenya made a comment about the ring. First of all, if Brittany would explain it to where Kenya would not have to have questions, then perhaps Brittany would not have felt offended or whatever based on, her so-called ring upgrade or whatever the case. Anyway, all she had to say was, my husband upgraded my ring, instead of saying, well, this is my second ring, and first of all, anyway, we're gonna move on from there because we all want to move on from Brittany. Anyway, so Shamia and her sister talking, listen to her song. They're outside and they're talking about the group she was in back in the day. Her and Carrie Hilson was in a group. Oh, Carrie, she's so sweet. And then, she started in the choir. Of course, a lot of us who sing started in the choir. That was a joke. I always say those of us who sang in the choir growing up, we think we can belt a few notes, you know what I'm saying? But obviously Shamia got it going on far better than me. Let me tell you, I got a few notes, you know, on my intro you can hear, on my outro you can hear. But just know a couple of notes, just a couple. But you know, I think Shamia know the whole alphabet. Cause that girl sounds real good. Sound better than Portia. She sounds better than Drew. Drew sounds good, but it's something about Shamia's grit in her voice. You know, it's probably that down home. You know, listen, when you sang in the church, like Kelly Clarkson, I always bring up the first American Idol winner, the incomparable Kelly Clarkson. That girl can sing. Woo! There's a whole lot of people out there, but let me tell you, when she get down and dirty, you better watch out. You better step back. If your throat ain't a goat, sit down. Like me, I would just hand her the mic and go sit down. I would go sit like in the 8th row. Anywho, so Shamia and her sister talking, you know, and then she's talking about she felt bad about shading Angela's nose and everything. But the thing is, it looked like Shamia got her nose done. The way it looked really big on her younger pictures, and now it looks very contoured, not including makeup. I could be wrong. Mm-hmm. You know how folks do. Anyway, so next we got Pampered by Portia, child. She going on and on about trying to build up her lifestyle brand. Girl, I'm trying to not read her for filth every single time I review this show. It may be a little difficult. I can see how much she is avoiding the issue of stepping in, cheating with Simon while he was married to Fallon, and just creating a whole issue. And now she's going through, you know, hey, you know, yeah. So she's doing a Pamper by Portia. And then rest in peace to Lottie. We see she's working on her team, but then we all know, we got the word last year that Lonnie died. Rest in peace to her. She looked really pretty during that episode 4. Man, she did look a little uncomfortable, but I ain't trying to, you know, harp on it. But peace up to Lonnie. Rest in peace. So yeah, so one of her other workers, I think his name is Cliff. I don't know what his name is, child. He mentioned how Drew came to him wanting Drew and Dennis came to him wanting them to hear her song and everything. And I'm like, everybody who is around Portia seems to have this sort of loyalty to where they need to divulge information to her. In a sense, it's like kiss the ring situation. Maybe there's a sense of her wanting them to tell her things so she don't feel blindsided. I can understand that, but it seems like there's a duty and an obligation for her circle to cater to her so she can do what she will with the data that they're giving her. Next, we see Drew comes out of the house bothering Ralph, child, while he's practicing with the kids. Now, they have an order where they're not supposed to, seems like what I heard was they're not supposed to interact and cause a disruption due to them both wanting to stay in the house alone with the kids. So the understanding at this point is that Ralph said he could not afford to live outside of the family house and then still take care of the family house. So his area of domain is to live in the basement. And Drew is to leave the house on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekends. so he can come up from the basement and come up to the main floors and, have normal time with them, in their bedrooms, helping them, cook, clean, do the normal things. So that's why she has to leave. So at that point, here it is. Drew is violating his time with the kids, and this is not the first time. We're going to see more of this. She wants to make it seem like he is the problem. Something told me, just watch. Don't just, now I'm a girl's girl. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I want you to have all the things. At the same time, Drew has always proven not to be trustworthy. So, I'm just taking it episode by episode. And it just, at this point, now we see episode 4. Actually, even, I don't know, was it this episode? Whichever episode before this, I think it might be episode 3, that her attorney said that sooner or later, the details of the case will be made for the public's consumption. And then the attorney said, not right now, but soon it will be, and then started to divulge information from the case. So to me, if the attorney is breaking the rules, then Drew gonna follow suit because her attorney doing it. And that sounds exactly like something Drew would say. Well, my attorney is doing it. Why wouldn't I follow the attorney? The attorney is the know-it-all of everything. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of ish that I have a problem with regarding Drew Sidora. Anyway. So yeah, Drew comes out the house bothering Ralph while he's practicing with the kids and everything. Ralph says Josiah brought him their divorce article, and Drew is not ready to tell the kids, but Drew is gaslighting Ralph while he's saying all the right things. He was just being real polite, real, as he should be. And she was just making it seem like he shouldn't worry about those things, and pretty much just bothering him while it's his time with his children. Girl, all so that they can make a scene for this show. There's better ways to do that, Drew. Anyway, well, perhaps there is a clause that they would film together, maybe in passing. No, it would be better, in my opinion, it would be better that they would film something in passing. Hey, before I go, can I have 60 seconds of your time and run something by him real quick? Okay, bye. But don't interrupt his time with his children. Like I said, this ain't the first time that we've seen it. Next, we see Kelly visits Kenyon at her day spa. Kelly has a bodyguard due to her soon-to-be ex threatening her in and out of court. Child, the man threatened her life in court. Can't be trusted. So apparently he contempt and got thrown in. Anyway, he wants her business. We already knew that he took $500K out of the business account, although she did start the business while married. Perhaps he felt compelled to do so. Child. Now she's talking about he's been physically abusive. Cops have been called more than once. He's threatening her in and out of court. Girl, I don't. Team Kelly. That's that on that. I don't want to hear nothing else about that man. Ain't nothing about that man worth me saying anything similar to how Drew and Ralph is, because apparently Kelly is trying to make it work. She got 3 of his nappy-headed babies, and he was there for her daughter when she was 2, not the last 15 years. And here he go. Anyway, so Kelly going through, y'all. She got a bodyguard standing right there. I hope he armed and dangerous. Child, okay, nobody say nothing to me. Oh, Kelly. It ain't nothing but a minute, child. Anyway, so Kenya's just going on about how, this has to work because she blew about $400,000 to do this. And plus Brooklyn's college funds. Like, girl, maybe you should have thought about what you did to Britt if you don't want to blow $400K plus Brooklyn's college fund, because we all know her daddy ain't got nothing. He getting put out of his business. He getting put out of his place of residence. His business acumen seems to be failing, girl. And all he was supposed to pay was $2,000 a month, and now he can't do $2,000 a month, girl. Again, it's not about all he can pay us $2,000 at the time when he could. But the point is, you doing all this grandiose stuff, like I mentioned before, when one partner makes considerably amount of more than the other, they have to expect to pay more. It is what it is. But in this case, girl, you should have thought about all this before you did what you did to Brittany at your grand opening. Well, we don't get to that. Don't worry about it. Next, we see Brittany meeting with her sister, Cher. I think the eldest sister. Cher is mad that she meaning Brittany, hasn't seen her nephews. I could have, that ain't hard to believe. Talking about her nephews don't know Brittany. I'm like, how did not know her? How long she been gone? Child. Then Cher blocked the mom because of some past hurt. Brittany was like, I need you and mom to get it together. So apparently the mom is more so closer to Brittany, what it seems like. She's living with them, so there's always going to be, some favoritism, especially when, the daughter then blocked the mama because of some past hurt. I'm like, y'all need to get that together. But who am I to judge? Not really judging, but still. It's not normal for you to be blocking your mom from even contacting. What if it's an emergency? I always say, if you know in case of an emergency, you would need to speak with that person, don't block them. Just make sure you know their number is correct. And, if they do contact you, you see who contacted you, and that's up to you if you want to answer. I mean, duh. Anyway, see, goes to show you just how immature these folks is. And she's older than Brittany. Brittany, what, 35? Girl, I don't know, child. Anyway, what's going on? What else going on over there? Cher. Cher feels like she was left in the cold, getting, by Brittany getting a man and always having her man Mike in between them, even when they're talking, or, if they're doing something, Mike got to come along and everything. But see, the thing is, Mike is paying, just like Charles is paying. So sometimes, whoever paying want to see what's going on. And Mike seems like a type that would want to be in the business. Like he seemed like a type when he was in the business when they were on episode 1. Ooh, he was in the business. Anyway, well, then while they're talking, Mike is calling for Brittany to come home. First of all, she's out with her sister. What is so pressing that you need to interrupt her while she's with her sister? That tells me that due to Brittany's relationship with her family, he can. What's that noise on here? Child. Anyway, I'm hearing a whole lot of ambulance noise tonight. And it's usually quiet around here because I'm in the boondocks. What is all that? Child, anyway, like I said, Mike can disrespect due to how Brittany relates to him, her family dysfunction. And whenever your significant other, oh no, that's not ambulance. That's a one of them motorcycles making it kind of sound like. Anyway, could you hear it? Anyway, so whenever your significant other joins in to disrespect your family or whomever you're beefing with, instead of keeping you calm, instead of making sure that you don't go too far, or just, is a lending ear, that's a problem. I.e., remember when, if you have watched Love and Marriage Huntsville, remember when Melody was having some event and Tisha Scott rolled up, even though she was not invited or was disinvited, I forget which. And Tisha Scott was told by security that she had to leave. And Martell Holt, excuse me, at the time, who was married to Melody Cherie, was egging her on and just laughing and making Melody feel like that was the right thing to do, instead of Melody just going to Tisha and letting her know yada yada, and not making a spectacle out of and trying to embarrass Tisha like that. That's the problem, because somebody has to keep a cooler head within this relationship. So yeah, clocked his tea. Next, we see Drew in the studio with Dennis and producers and convincing her to be more sexy on the situation. Oh, like y'all was doing, not y'all, but when them folks was doing with Carrie Hilson, convincing her to sing diss records against Beyonce, child. Let me take a swig. Hold on. Baby. I tell you, these folks in this music industry, either they want the woman to be on her knees and on all fours, looking back at it, or I mean, just losing themselves within this industry, compromising their integrity, all for a look. And it's always a dude telling her that she has to do it. Anywho, Drew says no drama with Dennis until now. What I meant by that is she wants Dennis to talk to Portia about the issue of them working together. And then Portia's main issue, well, not main, but point of contention with Portia, with Dennis and Drew, is that they don't film together. Now, I already talked about this in my previous review. Portia ain't got no sense. All because of that debacle that happened on her 3-part commercial. Shout out to Nene Leakes. She caused that issue herself. She's the one who's fighting her and having her family fight Dennis and his mama, and then Dennis's work, just making a complete mockery of the Williams name. No wonder I forget her name. What's her name? Anyway, the aunt who runs the Hosea Williams Foundation. No wonder we ain't heard about that foundation, because Portia ain't fit to even represent that foundation the way she been acting, child. So yeah, Drew just wants Dennis to do it. Dennis wants Drew to do it, but Dennis lied, saying that Portia was okay with it, but then he admits that he ain't even talked to her about it. Child, now I can understand Portia being a little perturbed, but Portia needs to be put in her place about that. That's his business. And she has no say-so in it, like he tried to tell her. But she don't see it that way. Then she wants to, she had the audacity to tell him, I just don't want no issues between you and PJ. Pretty much extorting his parent time with his daughter, his only daughter, in lieu of him not filming with Drew on this show. See, she would get all kind of cussed the fuck out. Anyway, what else happened? Was that it for episode 4? Or am I still doing? Oh, okay. So the ladies getting ready for Angela's dinner. Portia don't want to talk to Drew. Yada yada. Yeah. Shamia planning to apologize. Yeah, that's great. Kelly bringing her security. Brittany don't feel safe partying in Bankhead. Child, this is the damn episode. Brittany don't feel safe partying in Bankhead. Now, I was in Bankhead, and I had fun when I was in ATL, so I don't know what she's talking about. Because it's a known area to be a little less couth. A little more crime-ridden. I thought, what's the other place over there by the airport? I thought College Park was, well, listen, I thought College Park had that reputation and not Bankhead, but I don't live there, so it is what it is. So, who is this? So everybody was supposed to wear black. That was on the invitation. Production pointed it out. Kenya coming in wearing green. Kelly tried to shade Drew for not, spending at the party, but Drew showed her the receipts. But then the receipts only showed communication and not an actual uh, actual receipt about tendered and paid and zero balance. The whole situation. Child, I tell you, Drew be making up stuff so people can believe her. I swear she do. So then the whole thing about Dennis and Drew. So as Drew showed Kelly her phone with the receipt of the phone conversation, and not an actual transaction receipt of products purchased, there's text from Dennis. And she's like, no, that's a group text. Don't even go there. So that kind of perked up Portia's, Portia's ears. So then Shamia changed the subject and she said, hey, y'all, I want y'all to hear my song, Whoop de Woo. And then Portia was dogging, Shamia's voice, talking about that sound like Drew. Stop playing, that's Drew. I'm like, everybody was like, that. Why are you questioning her voice? Shouldn't you know her voice? You know her for what, 20 years or so by now? Like, hello? I'm like, first of all, when I hear, listen, actually this year, since this show Sweet 16 started, this is the first I remember Shamia's voice. Now I may have heard it before. However, this is the first time I recognize Shamia's voice, knowing that it don't sound nothing like Drew. Now both of them can sing, don't get me wrong. But like I said earlier, Shamia has that grit in her voice. Drew does not. Drew is more clean sounding. Shamia is got that grit, Girl, Portia tried it. Anyway, so the games, my voice, the games are starting, and they want to pretty much say something, write a question that you want someone to ask, but don't say who you are. That's writing. You don't don't say who you are. That's actually writing out the question. Shamia demoed her what do you call it? Her thanking her husband for the birthday gift, the double R that. So what happened? Because they're coming off of Shamia's birthday party. Oh, what'd you do to thank your husband? First of all, if y'all just want to know exactly what she did in the bed and across the counter, just say that. So, Shamia, just like Shamia, doing too much, demonstrated a BJ and a back shot. Like, girl, we already know you do that. I mean, anyway, it was too much for TV. That's all I gotta say. It was way too much. So Portia says she knows something about Charles to Angela. Like, girl, I know something about your husband. Angela, what? So she asked Portia, like, what? And then Portia kind of blew it off. She said, nah, girl, it's nothing. First of all, we would have got that straight right then and there. I don't play about my man. My man. That's what I don't do. But like a pushover, Angela just, just let that ride. I'm like, girl, again, y'all letting stuff ride when y'all should be nipping shit in the bud right then and there. Don't play like you know something about my husband and then act like you don't want to finish that conversation. No, we're going to finish the conversation. Yeah, we're going to finish it right then and right there. Anyway, so the one question in particular, I'm just going to just address the issue that we're all waiting for. So Brittany reads a card saying for Kenya to apologize to Brittany, and Brittany makes the apology a moment. Just Kenya was like, well, I can't apologize to anyone, which I have already. It's not an issue with me apologizing. And here come Brittany. Well, no, not anyone. We're talking about me. So Brittany just kept on and making the mountain out of a molehill, and using some of the Kenya isms that Kenya has said on the show. And Kenya was like, "There you are, repeating something about me. All right," or repeating something I've said. I think she may have called her a fan, but she definitely called her a peasant once Angela started to question whether or not Kenya is intelligent enough to apologize. Uh-oh. And, it just got real weird and everything. And Kenya just was like, girl, just go on about your business. I said what I said. Let's just move on. And so, the peasant thing really got to Brittany. She got louder and louder and just got more obnoxious with it and more rude with it. And pretty much the night was over. They ended the night, and as they were leaving, they were going their separate ways, trying not to, bump into each other accidentally on purpose. And Brittany said, "Where is my husband?" Making it known that she's married and Kenya is not. Where is my man? Because I know my man loves me, stuff like that. Girl, listen. Brittany is a trifling heifer, and it is what it is. So anyway, in the midst of Brittany, speaking loud, that punk bitch shit where you talk loud just so that the person you're arguing with can hear you, but you're not speaking directly to them because you're doing punk bitch shit. Then her husband comes and he's like, "Well, what's going on, babe? What's going on?" She's like, "It's Kenya again." She just like, and then she had the audacity to say, "Well, I got guns and whips and chains and stuff. I'm always strapped." What? How? At that point, Kenya Ben stopped talking to that girl. That girl was pumping herself up more. That type that just keeps talking, egging, making themselves feel like they can get louder and louder and louder, because they want a moment. Like Kenya said, I remember when Brittany said, "No, I'm not making this a moment." And Kenya was like, "Well, I am the moment." Kenya always says that. But yeah, so they're walking out the door. Kenya is over there talking to her group of friends, the OGs, and what's her name? Portia drove her double R, offering Kenya a ride. And Kenya was like, "Did you hear that? She's talking about guns and shooting me and shit and yada yada." Kenya was like, "Oh no, that girl got to go." While Kelly is over there trying to calm Brittany down. And like, "Girl, just calm down. It ain't that serious. We are leaving, yada, yada, yada. Woosah, do whatever you need." Just trying to calm or diffuse her friend from saying anything else stupid. At that point, I'm like, that was enough. At that point was when Kenya should have not tried to make anything else of it, but just complain to management, go to HR and say, "This girl's threatening me with firearms, and it's on record. She was talking loudly, making sure everybody heard, especially me, because I was ignoring her at that point from having a verbal disagreement during dinner. We were leaving. She was talking about shooting me with this, that, and the third. I want her fired." See, at that point, Kenya knows how to drum up some business. Kenya knows how to, really go in. And if she would have just stayed on that instead of trying to get back at Brittany the way she did, she would be filming and Brittany would be on the outside looking in. Like we would be calling her a one-hit wonder, a half-a-hit wonder, because she only did 3-4 episodes. Kenya, girl, you messed up. Oh my God, this was opposite. Now, if I'm thinking this, and Kenister was a lot more Kenister, and Kenya is a lot more sinister than I am, and older than me, girl, you how you gonna blow that bag? You and Nene got a lot to learn. Oh, child, give me that bag. I'm gonna be on there for life. Mac 10. Better through the hood with strap. Listen. All I know is Kim blew a bag over this heifer, and it shouldn't have been. But we're gonna move on to episode 5 right now. So listen, we are in episode 5, right? And here comes Angela visiting Shamia. Yay! And then Britt comes after that. Angela says that the owner of the venue they were at the other night approached her because Britt's comments about shooting folks up and carrying on. And Britt was like, oh, well, I apologize for that. Should I apologize to the owner? No, you should be apologizing to Kenya for even making Kenya think that you want to shoot her. Girl. But then Brittany wants to feel like Kenya egged her on or Kenya was out to get her. And this is not the first time that they had an altercation. First of all, Kenya don't give a doggone about you, Brittany. No, really, no one does. Only person that really know you is Kelly, from my understanding. Well, you know. Now, if I'm for sure, the way Shamia broke it down as her being the glue, she knows Kelly, but she only knows you through Kelly. Something like that. Anyway. Child. Yeah, so Britt says she'll make a conscious effort to play it back. And then Shamia asked if Angela approached Charles with what Portia insinuated. Again, Shamia, why is this your business? It seems like Shamia's asking for Portia. Why are you concerned with that? Shouldn't you just be concerned with you and Angela growing your friendship? Since you were the one who came out the gate talking about that woman's physical features. We don't want to talk about physical features now. Ain't nobody on this show a bathe in beauty. Just saying. Ain't nobody ugly, but you know, just saying. Next, we got Kenya planning her grand opening. Portia came for her product and models and really just wasn't, you know, trying to be funny, but it really wasn't. And then Kelly comes all helping with the grand opening. Business is slow. Kenya wants the no parts of Brittany, but Kelly is rooting for Britt. You know, Kelly really wants them to, you know, make amends. But again, that should have been an immediate phone call from Brittany to Kenya, or a 3-way phone call, so that she can sincerely apologize, FaceTime, Zoom, something. But waiting until, that only tells me that Brittany it meant what she said, and now she's trying to come up with the best way possible, and it takes her this long to think about the best way possible to make sure that, you know, she can stay on the show and apologize to Kenya, and hopefully Kenya will accept her apology. Which Kenya, girl, you blew a bag. Oh, I'm gonna keep saying it until I stop saying it. Anyway, so Angela and her daughter are talking over coffee. Now this part is real messed up. But listen to this. So Angela's mom is mad because the daughter tried to take the mom's car without permission, but the daughter thinks she can take the grandma's car because Angela bought the car. If that ain't some entitled shit. So then the auntie, Angela's sister, was approaching the daughter, letting her know what she can and cannot do, as auntie should, when the niece and nephew is wrong, in this case, the niece. So the auntie is letting the niece have it, who is Angela's daughter. And so Angela's daughter is making a mount out of a molehill, thinking that they were attacking her, you know, so to speak, and that they were, you know, that they were wrong and she was right. If that ain't some entitled shit, first of all, where is your car? That would have been like, well, no, this is my car. No, my mama bought this car. Bitch. See, And then Angela texts the daughter side and tells, okay, I'll talk to my mom. And then goes to trash her mom and disclose that her mom is bipolar. As if that played a part. What? I couldn't believe I heard what y'all. That's exactly what transpired. If you catching up with my review, that's exactly what transpired. Then another added insult to injury. Angela was hurt because she found out through her mom that her daughter was married. The same mom that she says has bipolar. The mom divulged that info to Angela so that Angela would find out because she should have already known. But then again, she trusts her mom in that respect, but she don't trust her mom when her daughter is acting a doggone fool trying to take her mama's car. First of all, that car is for her mom. Chelsea, I'm with the auntie, aunties and aunts. That's what we all. That's what we are over here. Just saying. I would have told that daughter, I don't care how many tears you cry, don't you ever approach my mom again about taking anything that belongs to her. And you will get checked the next time you try and do some mess like that. Instead, she sided with the daughter. I'm a spoiled freaking brat. I can't believe that. Crying just to get some sympathy. Anyway, so Portia meets with Britt. They're talking about apologizing to Kenya. And it's still talking about that ring comment. Britt is still bringing up the ring comment Kenya made when Britt was not clear about the whole ring situation. Kenya got it. She understood towards the end. And ain't nobody said nothing else since. So I guess Britt just wants to give that validation or justification so she can feel sleep better at night, I guess. And then the pow comments don't add up. She's lying and the truth ain't in it. So she don't get fired. But dang, Kenya, why you messed us up? Anyway, so Angela roasts Charles while he in there cooking and carrying on. She wants him to accompany her to Kenya's grand opening. He was like, why? Ain't this for y'all? She's like, yeah, I just want you to come with me, yada, yada. He's like, So then she tells him what Portia said about Portia knows something about him. He's like, what she know about me? He's like, you should nip that in the bud. Angela lied and said, I did nip it in the bud. No, you didn't. Because the next episode, you asked her about what she said. Angela be lying. But I guess she just wants to, appear to her husband that she got these heifers in check. Girl, he got you in check. Since episode 1, we've figured it out that she cannot uphold in a conversation with her husband. It's like, girl, you are the woman. You should be reading him down. Instead, he reading you down. Not to say he's some type of queen or nothing, but if this man, maybe is it because he's older? Is he older? Because she got to be what, 52? Is he her daughter 24? Whatever. All I know is she lied to Charles and said that she checked Portia, but she didn't. She just let that shit slide. I wonder what he would have said if she would have told the truth. See, people need to stop telling their truth and tell the truth. That's a problem with some folks. Anyway, what else happened, child? What else happened? Oh, so Angela brings up her family drama, and Charles says, "Listen, I ain't got time to be taking care of people and begging them to do this and that, something that they should be doing already." See, like I told you, she's using his money to take care of her family to a certain extent, and Angela don't need her family butting into her marriage because it's gonna cause even more of a friction. And like even though she says, quote unquote, she's a self-made woman and she got it going on financially. First million this, million that, yada yada. Yeah, but yet and still your husband's taking care of your family. That should be something you should be doing. That's your family. But like he said, I agree with Charles. I ain't trying to fool with nobody who I'm taking care of. And that goes with anybody who is grown. And nobody got time for that. Oh, Lord. Next we see Kenya has a grand opening. Girl, here we go. Miss Lawrence is there. He gives props. Kelly calls Britt, and they're coming over. They're coming over separately than everybody else. And then Kelly picks up Britt. She got a big old bouquet of flowers and a card. She's really trying to make it a moment. Girl, you know, just don't know what's going on. Talking about moments. Anyway, so Kenya has Bronner Brothers there as a style hair demo, just so people are made abreast of the Bonner Brothers, a great fashion house who would always put on hair shows, specifically down to the Georgia area, and it was always an annual thing. I'm not sure if they do it anymore. I never really hear about them. You know, sort of like Fashion Fair Cosmetics. They're pretty much non-existent. Anyway, it was a pretty cool nostalgic moment to see. Then we see everybody coming in. Then Kelly and Britt comes in. Brent's aunt passed away, by the way, so she's feeling a little wonky, but she's there anyway. Kenya pays, Britt does, even though Britt is trying to, you know, give flowers and give thank yous. Apologies. But Kenya just wasn't having it. Then Drew comes in and she tried to talk to Portia, but Portia not really, you know, feeling her either. Portia canceled previous meetup with Drew. She was sick, didn't really tell Drew. She just said, I'm not coming or whatever. So Drew is sick and tired of getting put off by Portia, and that's that on that. She said what she had to say. I said what I said. We can move on. So next we see Kenya gives a speech, but at this time Britt left. She didn't want to keep getting the cold shoulder. She just dropped off the stuff and left. She didn't want to interrupt Kenya. She didn't want to make Kenya feel a certain way. So, you know, she was out the door. So while she's on the corner waiting for her ride, Kenya gives a speech on her opening her spa and how some people are trying to bring her down. If I hear one more housewife talking about somebody trying to bring me down, I'm going to bring them down. I mean, golly. Then the revenge P comes out and she's just making a mountain out of a molehill, talking about how this one person who said that they were going to shoot me. Can you believe it? I mean, first of all, why is this happening at her grand opening? I thought she had to pay for Brooklyn's college tuition. She had at least $400K on the line, and you're gonna do this at your grand opening? No, this is something you do with the ladies, not for the whole grand opening to see. Child. So Kelly left. She didn't want to be no more part seeing all this mess go on. Everybody there was like, "Oh my God, Kenya." Everybody was like, Kenya, you're better than this. Even Cynthia had to pull to the side, like, girl, I will call you later, but you know this is wrong. It's two left shoes. You are better than this. Hasta la vista. People was just like, I cannot. People were just like, It was it was a mess. It was a stone cold mess. I can't believe Kenya did something like that. Let me get some drink. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't believe Kenya did that. All Kenya had to do, all she had to do was play up the issue about the pow that Brittany was talking about. Make every demand possible to be safe to the point where Britt would not have to film with her or not film, but to do this only just ruined it, and she should have known better. Anyway, dang. dang, Kenya. It's like this. Okay, we're in the aftermath, right? And it's like, dang, it was just the wrong thing to do, Kenya. Dang, what she should just played up make a mountain out of, or she'll make girl make a skyscraper out of I don't know, make a mountain. I don't know. All I know is Kenya should have just played her role as the victim and not try and be someone trying to victimize anybody else. Because, woo, that just playing with fire. Now she got burned, child. I just mean that was just the wrong thing to do. Kenya should just play victim and just play that whole situation a whole different way. Britt will be on the outside looking in while she just kept filming, collecting her coins. Girl, what's wrong in the world? She too old for this. Everybody's like, dang, Kenya, girl, you blew a bag. I mean, Portion already came out and said the girl was fired. Folks are just saying that it's so bad that they had to get what's her name, Phaedra, to come and film. And I'm like, I guess we're gonna see Phaedra next episode. Child, why? Anyway. Girl, why? Anyway, listen. At some point, and I mean at some point, there's gonna have to be a point of contention where, why couldn't they have filmed an episode to where Kenya and Britt had a conversation? Who knows, child? Anyway, let's just get into it. So this is the aftermath. Britt over there fake crying to her man, talking about she thought she would thought she scrubbed all her stuff off the internet. Yeah, well, whoever you got to do that apparently didn't do it all because it was found. But then a whole nother twist to this mess. Some chick on the Basketball Wives show who got beef with Britt along Britt's journey of life got similar stuff in her phone against the girl. And someone by the name of, I think it was Portia again, talking about, well, the girl over there in Basketball Wives was probably most likely the one who gave the info to Kenya. So the girl on Basketball Wives talking about, no, that wasn't me. I do have stuff on that girl in my phone, but that wasn't it. First of all, why you got porn? I mean, stuff like that on Britt in your phone. And then she showed a picture of a whole lot of phones she's had all her life, something similar to Carly Red, where they never throw away nothing. Girl, if this has been your life, collecting receipts on people, something going on in your life, what have you been doing throughout your lifespan that you got to have all this going on? Child, anyway, so apparently word on the street is somebody gave that to Kenya and it wasn't found on the internet, even though Kenya said this was on the internet. Well, that's semantics. And now you're playing. It's best just to say that you got it from somebody who did you a solid, thought you was doing your big one, but you played yourself. Child, anyway, back to this fake crying Britt is doing to her man. And, talking about and now, she's just so embarrassed and everything. And then Kelly come over and, and then all of a sudden the tears stop. Hey, what are you doing? What? Oh, really? That's what we doing? That's what we doing. For real? That's what we doing. Well, ain't that doggone convenient? So at the same time, Kelly is making her friend kind of feel better. Then Kelly says that there's a nurse coming over to give us a little IV treatment. You know how folks nowadays is doing this. Oh, let me go ahead and give me some IVs because I drank too much, or I just need a little pick me up with some hydration and other types of minerals and medicaments to make them, a little more lively, like they have the liquid IVs in the stores now, so people can hydrate themselves with the different types of minerals and vitamins and carrying on. I'm like, y'all just want to just self-administer, don't you? Any substance you just want to self-administer. Okay, whatever works, whatever floats your boat. So yeah, they getting all that going on. Like I said, all the tears stopped. They just automatically just dried up. And what was funny to me was Britt over there trying to sound all, smart and everything. And Kelly invited, like I said, the IV nurse. And Kelly is listening to her friend vent. She's a sounding board and she's listening and comforting her. And Britt had the audacity to say that Kenya was very distasteless about the whole situation. Distasteless. Yeah. Not distasteful, but hashtag distasteless. And then the nurse was like telling the Brit, I can't find a vein. What's going on? I wonder why the nurse couldn't really find a vein on Brit. What's going on with her blood vessels? I wonder why that would happen. Next, we got Shamia. Invites the ladies to come over to come over to overcome Kenya's faux pas. Angela asked Portia about Charles, just trying to, figure out what's going on. And then Portia's like, oh, girl, I'm sorry. I know that you don't know me. I was just joking. I don't ever want you to feel a certain way. Just know that there's nothing I know about your husband. I was just joking. I apologize for that. But then Angela told Charles that she checked her for it. But Charles don't see this, Angela. He gonna check you for lying. Anyway. What else they talking about, child? Drew comes, grabs the plate. She didn't even wash her hands. She came straight to the plate, from outside. Didn't wash their fingers. She didn't go to the bathroom and freshen up. She went straight to the food. Didn't wash their finger. I know who not to invite to the potluck, and I know whose house not to eat at. That wasn't cute. So, they're talking about what's going on and everything, and they're asking Drew about, why was you late, girl? She said, girl, I was with her, handling my divorce business. It's difficult and yada, yada. And then they said, well, what's up with you, Portia? How was you handling your divorce drama? And then she got upset because her daughter asked for Simon one time. And then she reached out to Simon because of PJ. But Simon had on read, or he read it and he just didn't respond. You know how nasty work that is. See, it's one thing to just ignore somebody, but it's another thing to let that person know you read their message and you just not respond. Over the last 8 months, we've seen how petty both of them have been. And you mean to tell me that Portia thought that this man that she schemed with to get with in the first place was going to honor the request of her daughter? That means he would have to talk to her. Didn't Portia say that Simon wasn't talking to her? She tried to reach out and he just ignored her. Okay, we're going to keep ignoring you behind. How about you send a message through your attorneys? How about that? Since you want to be all on the up and up and everything. But then again, it's par for the course when you connive and scheme to get where you was trying to get to. Anywho, what else happened, child? So then she started crying and carrying on, and she just wants, her and Drew to just coexist. She don't want nothing more from Drew. She kind of done with Drew. But at the same time, did we hear that she dropped Drew from her fake hairline? I don't know, child. Kelly asked, was Drew and Portia's beef squash? Yeah, that's when Portia said, nah. She just want to be, a place where she can coexist. Drew was like, I've been there. I don't know what you waiting on. Anyway, Kelly and Chloe, her daughter Chloe, who's 17, the one that she gave the party to in the first, I think, episode, or maybe the second episode. Anyway, I think I owe Kelly an apology where I said she had her nose job done. She looks just like her daughter's nose. Maybe it's just some contouring she's done to her face to make it a lot more pronounced. But I can apologize. I can say when I'm wrong. So my bad, girl. I thought you went and got that nose done. But anywho, maybe they're just along some. You know what? You know who they remind me of? Tiny's mom, Tiny from Escape. They got that. That nose thing to where it looks. They all look similar. You know what I'm saying? So, maybe there's some similar lineage going on. I'm not sure where exactly Kelly is from, but yeah, maybe they are related in some type of way. You know how sometimes you can see certain people who look alike or who have very prominent, similar, or exact same features who don't know each other. Perhaps they've come from the same tribe because, well, actually, yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Uh, yeah, but I've always known that when you have lineage going on, you're gonna look like somebody, from way back, and it is possible. We've seen it, different uh, commercials or different advertisements. You see somebody, like for instance, Whitney Houston. Oh, when they show her, I think either it was her grand or great, some great grandmother, they look like they could have been twins. It was so uncanny. Anywho, yeah, so Kelly and Chloe in the backyard doing yoga, and they're having a cute little time, getting their chi together. And then at the end, Kelly brings up the article about her personal divorce situation. She asked her daughter, can she, do you want to see it? Can I share it with you? And the daughter's like, yeah, okay. The daughter is a lot more stronger than the average kid, going through all that mess Kelly described, I can imagine. So she reads it and she's just like, I hope I never end up like you, with all this drama going on, because that's not something I want in my life. And I know that may have hurt Kelly a lot more than she let on, but it is what it is. I mean, I think Kelly's doing the best she can. I like Kelly. I hopefully she'll stay. She's more of a staple. She doesn't seem like the type that would start-ish like Britt or Kenya or even Shamia. I like Kelly for the show. She's a lot more sensible so far. So more conversation with Kelly and Chloe. Chloe wants to, send some pictures from the article to her younger sister, Chance. Kelly said, well, make sure you don't send the article. I have a feeling she sent that article, just saying. Anyway, they're going to do more of this, more bonding, but Chloe just rather do therapy because she's sick and tired of meditation. All right, girl, well, whatever. Drew, packing up to leave. Now, this part was interesting. Drew was packing up to leave because it was Ralph's turn to be upstairs. It was either the first, the third, or the fifth weekend, because that's when Drew got to go and go stay in a hotel somewhere, what have you. Anywho, so Drew realizes that she's late and that she's having a late start in the morning. The little daughter is playing on her top, talking about she don't want to get her hair combed. Drew was counting down, which normally would get her in line, but the little girl's making Drew look like, what you counting for? That little girl's name Anaya or something. She reminds me of a little girl who would probably cuss out her mom and dare her to do something. I don't know, something about that. She probably got her mom ways anyway. Anywho, so the court order says that Drew is supposed to be gone by a certain time. So she's surprised when Ralph comes upstairs. She said, oh, he was like, yeah, it's my time, So Drew is still eating. She's not immediately getting up. First of all, she should have been gone because, like I said, in the previous, was that episode 4? She was interrupting him with his time outside with the kids. Now she's interrupting him again, violating the order, although she's been online promoting that she's been the most model parent for the kids and how Ralph is making her whole life miserable. Well, it seemed like you're doing it right back. So even further into her violation of the court order, that she's supposed to be gone by a certain time, because again, interrupting his time with his kids. She wants to have a quick word with him about something on the side of the counter. So she lets him know that the exterminator bill needs to be taken care of. And he said, well, I thought you were taking care of it. She said, well, after speaking with my attorney, that's a part of your responsibility. So I just wanted to let you know. And he was like, well, why can't you just take care of it? See, at that point, she should say, you know what, I'm out. But then they kind of kept going. So then he started getting a little more irritated with her. Again, she's on his time, bothering him about some bill. When I believe earlier in the episodes that she said she couldn't really speak with him, it was always the issue. So their attorneys were speaking to each other, and then all of a sudden he started to represent himself. So my thing is, if you can have a simple conversation about an exterminator bill, then I wouldn't even talk to that man, Drew. I would just have my attorney communicate with him since he's acting as his own counsel. Email is fine. Just send him a copy of what his responsibility is and advise him not to bug my client about it. That would have been the easiest solution, and it would have been a lot easier had she gone and left before his time started with his children. But then she and her sister Allison are getting her final packing up, getting in the vehicle. Allison gets in the vehicle last, and she makes a whole scene with Allison, trying to make it seem like Ralph is getting on her nerves, and he started with her before she left. See all that lying that Drew be doing? It's like she just can't be truthful. She has to tell her truth and not the truth. And we all saw it with our eyes. She was interfering with the court order. She was bothering him, and where she should have just known to have her attorney contact him about his responsibilities according to what has already been established in court. That's all she had to say. There should never be a point where she has to remind him about what the court has already put in place. Just saying. Other than that, it's just harassment as far as I'm concerned. I ain't with Ralph. I'm just saying, Drew, girl, I'm with you, but you got to tighten up, mama. You got to tighten up because we already know you be lying about stuff. So we just need you to tighten up, girl. Tighten up. What's next, child? What happened? Shamia at the studio with RL from Next and what's his name? B flat. Angela comes in and what'd she say? Oh, she apologizes for what'd she say? Wait a minute. What she apologized for? Oh, she apologizes for siding with Portia about Shamia playing her song. And Shamia was like, I let it go, but it still hurts the fact that Portia didn't realize that was her singing her song. And then Drew comes in and they're all, just talking and whatnot. And they all agree that Portia was tripping. Drew was like, listen, I ain't even trying to mess with her. I already told Dennis that, it is what it is with you and I. She said she's not going to stop working with Dennis. And all they have is a working relationship. And they don't be calling each other, texting each other. But then again, the production shows the different times when they're calling. And again, Drew. Next, we see Bree. Mom comes over. And of course, they're talking about what Kenya did. The mom keep reminding her to be classy, to be a lady, don't retaliate. Girl, Britt is just gonna play this out until I don't know when, child. What else happening? Shamia and Portia talk about Drew and Dennis. They at this Dave and Buster's looking kind of place. They're just having fun, video games and whatnot, not what. Like, y'all too old to be playing video games. But anyway, he told Portia he's filming with Drew just for promo of the music that they're making, but Portia don't like that. Portia expects Dennis to not film with Drew, period, point blank. Well, you can't interrupt his business acumen. Like Drew said, the money that she's gonna make off this album is gonna help put PJ through college. Now that part, just to back up a little bit, when they were all talking and Shamia pretty much told Drew, well, Drew, I think the college fund is already taken care of. Well, that's not for you to say. And that's what everybody says when they're in business with someone who has kids. Oh, well, this so and so and so and so and so and so will help put so and so's kid through college. That's a normal thing for people to say. Shamia. So Shamia, mind your own business with Shia and Shiloh. I hope that's the names, if I'm not mistaken. Worry about their college funds. Don't be trying to stick up or talk on Portia's behalf and be her spokesperson. Her mouth is big enough to talk on her own. Shamia. Girl. What else, child? What else? Yeah, so Portia expects Dennis to not film with Drew. Well, that ain't gonna happen. And then Portia mentions that her and Simon got an embryo. Girl, I guess she more sympathy she wants us to have. But we're gonna talk about going into Fallon's house and taking that man and cheating with him even before that scene during that pool party and everything. When you gonna come clean about that? That's what I want to know. Anywho, what else happened, child? Oh, then Shamia's asking Portia about what's up with Simon, all these posting about you back and forth. Well, first of all, you didn't ask Portia why is she going back and forth with him. Ain't it strange how Shamia said, why is Simon always posting about you? Both of them was doing it, if I'm not mistaken. Hello. But the cease and desist, Shamia was like, what's up with that? Like, what's going on? Girl, you know what's going on. You you was in the midst of all that. You knew from the beginning she was messing with Simon. So, girl, bye with all this Emmy award winning. Next we see Kelly. She has a party, right? She wants the ladies to get together, and pretty much it'll be something positive for Britt to enjoy, since Britt has, been down in the dumps about being embarrassed down to Kenya's grand reopening. And it's really cute. It has like a lemon, sunflower, yellow type of theme. Not the color, but the whole, brightening of it all. And the husband, she talks about him being out of the pokey. So she's being extra cautious. And that he owes her child support a minimum of $10K. Hello. Girl, don't hold your breath. Please. So again, she says that the brunch was for her homegirl, Brittany. And then Britt, what was I saying? My notes, child. I want to make sure I don't miss nothing. So everybody starts to come in, right? So they start getting down to nitty gritty, and Britt comes in, and she's sitting next to, what's her name? Angela. And then Drew is sitting next to Angela. So it's three on that side. And then on the other side is Shamia and Portia. Did Portia come? No. Portia called, said she was sick again. Talking about PJ got her sick. So it was Shamia on that side along with Kelly. Because, of course, Kenya wasn't there and Portia wasn't there. So they start talking, and then Britt goes in about, she's upset because she lost her license with all this. And Angela's like, wait. I'm in the real estate too. What do you mean you lost your license? What was the cause? And Britt was giving her all kind of attitude about, what you mean, what's the cause? Have you been asleep lately? Have you noticed what was going on? With me and everything. First of all, this just happened. How do you lose your license off of this mess in a matter of days? I don't even think it's been a week. How does all this happen with investigation? Because, of course, when you have this type of profession, they don't just fire you off the rip unless they see you on video doing something so egregious to a crime where 25 with an L will be attached to it. You know what I'm saying? So Angela's like, wait a minute. What you mean you lost your license over this? So Britt was giving her all kind of attitude for questioning her and thinking that and saying Angela is kind of dumb for even questioning. Angela, wait, hold on. I just asked you a doggone question. What about your accountability for what you did? And Brittany's like, what do you mean? For I didn't do anything. Girl, yes, you did. You caused Kenya to do this, but at the same time, Kenya was wrong with two left shoes. And so, what's her name? Britt is accusing them of taking Kenya's side. They're like, no, what Kenya did was wrong, and we're all saying that. But at the same time, you ain't even talked about what you did. But see, Britt don't want that to even be an issue. She just wants the sympathy. Okay, well, whatever happened. So Angela has to go on the other side of the table because she don't want to, end up losing her license, if you know what I'm talking about. And you know, it just really wasn't spelled out from Britt about what transpired. So at the same time, child, at the same doggone time, it is what it is. Britt, girl, you lying. First of all, you said you lost your license. Then in the same conversation, you said that you're under investigation. So did you lose it or are you under investigation? And the word on the street is, child, word on the street is her being under investigation ain't got nothing to do with Kenya. Apparently, some Ponzi scheme. I'll teach you how to do real estate, collecting funds and fees, and not returning on her on no return on the investment that was paid, and something to that effect. Y'all don't give me lying, y'all. It's out there. It's out there. So yeah, I believe it. Because Britt been scheming and scamming for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Listen, when a girl has been doing it, been living the life she's been living, this is just par for the course. Just saying. This goes along with that lifestyle of, you know, being the hot girl and, making sure that she has, throw it in the bag situation, money from guys, getting her stuff scrubbed off the internet. I'm just saying, only certain folks, not to say it's bad, but I'm just saying, certain caliber of folks will be involved in stuff like that. So, get rich quick schemes. I can see it. I can see it. Anywho, so let's get a little tea from Watch What Happens Live, right? So she was on there, and she was saying how Kenya had it out for her since day one. Lie, talking about it's no excuse for what she did. That's true. No excuse for saying that she has Smith and Wessons, but I never meant for that to be for Kenya. But why say that during during a heated moment conversation when you're talking all loud, wanting Kenya to know what you're saying? Even though you didn't say directly to her, you were saying it to her. So all that you saying is a bunch of lies, girl. Anyway, and then she said, plus I was in a rough neighborhood. Another indication that she was targeting Kenya with the words that she had some Smith and Wesson. Child. It's just, Britt is just a liar, and it's as clear as day. Oh, I wish Kenya would have just not did that, child. I wish Kenya would have just played up the fact that this girl is violent, has violent tendencies, and she's threatening me, and I don't feel safe. Oh, Kenya, girl, you messed up. You messed up, mamas. You messed up. Then she said after they investigated her, it was, nothing was found, so nothing happened to her license or for whatever. I'm like, girl, you said all that just to say this. Anywho, that was it, y'all. Real Housewives of Atlanta, episodes 4, 5, and 6. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll catch you next time. Bye, y'all.